but it sounds completely different, right? Hello everybody, welcome back. Let me show you today how to turn any chord progression into something musical and beautiful. And the great thing about this is that you don't need much to do it. As a matter of fact, if you know some triads, and please let me refer you to this video if you want to know everything about triads. You can take the simple triads, do a little mod to them, and come up with this beautiful voicing for any chord. But actually today we're going to stick to the easiest chords possible, the diatonic chords of a major scale, so major, minor, and one lowly diminished in there, which you don't have to worry about because I'll show you exactly how to play it. And the concept here is so simple. We're going to take any good old triad and take the middle note and raise it an octave, and that will give us this spread. And there's many different names for this, but we can call it just a luscious sound and beautiful sound. And that's all we're going to do. If you don't know your triads too well, don't worry about it because I will provide the starting triad and then show you how to get the open voicing. And then you can take this as far as you want to. Allow me to demonstrate this with a very simple triad I think you all know, C major. And we're going to start with the root on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, C. Then our major third E is on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and the perfect 5th G is on the open 3rd string. C major, right? Very simple. Now, because I'm going to be moving this around quite a bit, let me just get rid of the open strings and play the same thing up here on the 15th to 12th fret. Same exact notes, C, E, G. It just sounds higher, right? So the basic concept for this spread triad or open triad is to take the middle note and raise it an octave. So this E here, instead of playing it in this register, we'll have to play it the next octave up. For example, there's one here on the 12th fret of the 1st string. Now the beautiful thing about open triads, you can actually play them in many different ways. As a matter of fact, you could play this like this, and it will sound the same. If you really want to stretch, you can do this and still sound the same. Or maybe this, which looks a bit smarter, and actually that's what we're going to use. This fingering here, C, G, and then an octave higher, the E. Now that we've got this fingering, we can actually modify it to fit any triad we need. And for today, we're just going to harmonize a major scale. So all we need is the major triad, which we already have. If I lower the 3rd, so the E to E flat, I'm going to get a C minor triad. And then if I lower the 5th of a minor triad, I get a diminished, right? And that's all we need to harmonize the scale and have all 7 chords or 7 triads present. And to do this, actually, I'm going to move down to a different key simply because I want to start a bit lower and then we can move up. And I'm going to take it down to F. Okay, so this is F major. And now I can go through all the chords in the key. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I got my 7th chord diminished, and the 6th is minor. I'm basically playing this, but it sounds completely different, right? It's much more beautiful and much more open, and that leaves a lot of room for your own interpretation. Whereas when we have these big block chords, it's so in your face that it's really hard to interpret it in a different way. So that would be one way of doing it. But as you might know, triads come in different forms. And let me please refer you back to this video if you need any help on that front. But basically we have root positions for triads where the root is at the bottom, like the one we just saw. But we could also have the 3rd at the bottom, which would make it E, G, and C. And we could also have a 2nd inversion where the 5th is at the bottom, which will give us G, C, and E. Okay, so today I'm going to show you also how to do it with inversions. And the first inversions, let's stick to C major, and let's do E, G, C. You know how it goes. We take the middle note, which is the G, the 5th, and we bring it up an octave. Somewhere we like to play. I think this is maybe the simplest one. And now that we have this shape, It's our major shape for a triad, which means in the major key we'll work on the 1, 4, and 5. So let me do it actually in the key of C. We can just stay here. Now I can go to the F and the G, but I could also modify to make it minor, and that will make it work with the D, the E, and the A. And so now I can do majors and minors. Now, if I also lower the fifth, I get the diminished. In C major is B diminished, and it sounds like this. So here's your 7 triads for this particular shape of the first inversion. And as you might have guessed, we're going to do the second inversion now, which means having the 5th at the bottom, or the G, and in the same set of strings would be 10th fret on the 5th string G, same fret of the 4th C, and then the E, or the 3rd, is on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. But this leads, when we raise the middle note C an octave, to some wild stretches. So I'm actually going to bring it down one whole set of strings, and we're going to play like this. We're going to play the G on the 3rd fret of the 6th, the 3rd on the 2nd fret of the 4th, and the octave higher for the C would be on the 5th fret of the 3rd. Just like this. This will be a starting shape, and as a matter of fact, it works beautifully in the key of C major, so we don't have to change keys. And this will be our shape for our 1, 4, 5. Now, one thing to keep in mind, your root now is here. So when you're looking for the right triad, make sure you recognize the root on the right string. That's important, otherwise you'll think this is the root and it won't sound good at all, right? So 1, 4, and 5. As always, if I lower my 3rd a half step, this still is a bit of a stretch, but probably manageable. That's our minor shape, which again will apply to D, E, and A. So when we get here for the B, we have to make it diminish. So again, this is a bit of a stretch, but it's certainly doable. You can just practice it a little bit. There's so much more you can do with this concept, so I leave it up to you to explore further. If you're on my Patreon, stay tuned, because I'll have a very in-depth video about this coming up in the next few days. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe, like, all that stuff really helps out. If you want to share this with your guitar playing friends, I would appreciate it very, very much. As always, leave your comments below. I love reading and replying to all of them, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon for more.